It's showtime.
Welcome back to Hey Mickey.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Mufc Realist TV. Of course, it's your favorite host, Mick Ruby here, and we have a very special guest waiting in the back room or the green room. We call it living next door to Alice. Of course, we're going to talk to Alice Talks Football. She's back on popular demands, and here's a couple of reasons or 10 things I hate about you, Mick. It's not 10 things about hate about you, it's that movie title. It is 5 things why you should stick around and watch this episode here right now. So the talking points, of course, is Alice is our guest. We're gonna ask Alice, how do you feel to be a Manchester United supporter right here, right now, 2024, considering everything that's been going on with the takeover, the ineos ratification, the director of football situation, the scandals that's been going on, but more importantly, as Alice covers a lot of ground into the transfer market, who do you think, Alice, will actually come in the summer, and who do we gonna get rid of? And of course, the big talking points has to be Aston Villa. We're playing Aston Villa away on Sunday, and do you believe that Manchester United can get maximum 3 points? And how will Alice line up against Villa? What is the score prediction? Let's find out, because on popular demand, she's living next door to me and she's ready to come in. Let's go.
Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news.
Oh, I don't know where she's trending or when she's gonna blow. I guess she's got a reason, so I just wanna know. Cause for almost 1 year I've been living next door to Alice. 1 year past, waiting for a chance to tell her how I feel, maybe get a second glance. Now I'm sitting right here, living next door to Alice.
Good evening, people. On popular demand, she is back. My neighbor, there, Alice. Long time no seen, sailor. How you been?
I've been good, thanks. Man United starting to get some results, making me feel a bit better, but this season hasn't been the best.
Alice, are we getting smurfed?
Smurfed?
Yeah, blue carded. Smurfed. Blue
Oh!
card. Oh, blue card. What's going on there? Jesus Christ. You know, there was some weird shit that came out today, like, you know, introducing this blue card, this sin bin, like for petulance, or I didn't really get into it. But what the hell? So does it include managers as well, or?
I don't even know. I've not really read into it. I just think the concept's a bit silly and stupid. And I think the things with the refs is I think they abused their power a bit, like the Delo second yellow versus Liverpool. Absolute joke. Ref got it wrong. Ref gets it wrong. Player complains. Ref books player. Then player's shocked that he's booked and complains again. Then sends off Delo. I just think, you know what, I think we're giving refs too much power. I think giving them a blue card, they'll, because there are some refs out there that I just think love that power that they have, and knobheads, not all of them, but I don't like the idea, to be honest. I think if it's a serious foul, but it's not quite a red, give them a blue, maybe that can work. But I feel like you're just going to see stupid blues for no reason.
Do you reckon we should give it a little bit of balance so we can actually give the refs a purple card, like for bad misconduct, for giving away a blue card? That would be balanced. Anyway, welcome back. Anyway, good to see you, Alice. It's been far too long. You know, tell me, how does it feel to be a Manchester United supporter right here, right now, in 2024? Hasn't been an easy season, has it?
I think it's rough because it's like another season where Liverpool and City are at the top. Even Arsenal are up there, and we're not where we need to be. And last season, I think, was a good season in terms of expectations. Yes, Manchester United should be in the top 3 every season and should be winning a trophy every season. And we achieved that last season. But for where we've been at the last 10 years, last season was a good season. And ultimately, we've not progressed on that. I think a lot of that is to do with injuries. A lot of that is to do with not making use of the transfer market well enough, and key signings out. Didn't think that we needed him, but he has been out, so we can't really see the impact he's made. He's barely played. Anala's not hit the ground running, and Hojlund's starting to show what he can offer now. And I mean, Hojlund's great, but he was a 20-year-old that was never. He's the only signing that's really settled in. So I think the reason we've regressed is quite obvious, to be honest. I think other teams have improved. We didn't utilise the transfer market and injuries properly. And I think this season, being a United fan, isn't the best. But I'm basically in this mindset now of I'm just going to try and stay as positive as I can about things.
Yeah.
I think I'm bored of getting hysterical and angry and shouting for managers out. I've been in this cycle so many times. The only people I want to leave are the Glazers. They're not going to leave, unfortunately. I was upset about that because I was very vocal on Full Sail. It wasn't about Qatar versus Jim. It was about Full Sail, and that was Qatar for me. Hopefully, Jim Ratcliffe eventually buys them out. I'm trying to keep an open, positive mind with Jim Ratcliffe. Obviously, actions speak louder than words, and I will be fair on him. Even though I want a Full Sail, I'll be fair on him. I'll give him a chance to prove. But it's the actions that I want to see from him and United.
Action speaks louder than words. I mean, both you and me, it's been 14 months. We did over hundreds of videos about the takeover. And, at the end of the day, it came down to two bids that was on the table, like, two, what do you call it, manifestos. And one was kind of appealing to us fans, like clear the debt and infrastructure, build in the latest and greatest and all that stuff. And now we're starting to see a little bit of a snippets, because what I'm trying to say is we didn't hear much what Ratcliffe wanted to do until now. On Memorial Day comes out like, we're going to find a new stadium, we're going to knock down Old Trafford. And I was like, not now on this Memorial Day, Busby Babes, come on, what are you leaking out this for? And then follow up by, stories that, we are seeking fundings to build this stadium, and the day after that Must are seeking, I've been offered, like, I've been talking to Must to sort of to get fan engagement, to invest in the stadium so we can get fan ownership. So it's been one spin after another. But question to you then, what is most important, in this rebuild? Like, is it to get the infrastructure first in structure, in priorities, or is it actually to get the proper structure and recruitment in place and then build the stadium?
I think everything needs to be done, because the club's been neglected for 20 years by these owners. As Ronaldo said in his interview, they didn't bother touching Carrington or the stadium, and we wouldn't need to do this much on the stadium had they just maintained it. It's actually ended up costing them more money and them having to look for a minority investor. I think everything has to be done. I guess in terms of sustainability, it would probably be best to get us in a more stable place in the pitch financially. We're in this big FFP scenario because for some reason we spent 60 million on Mount with 1 year left on his contract. We could have got Hojlund for 50 million, spent 72, spent 85 million on Anthony, which is ridiculous. High wages. We're in a situation where the poor performances of the board, the incompetence of the board has actually put us in financial trouble, which I think is why the Glazers have brought in Ratcliffe and have given him so much power with Ineos, because they're like, well, we've run the club into the ground. If it continues going this way, we're not going to make any more money out of United. So they've brought Ratcliffe in to put in a proper structure. Omar Barada, I'd love Dan Ashworth. Don't know if it's going to happen. And I think the best thing they could do right now is sort that structure out in terms of director of football, but actually have actual roles. What the hell does Darren Fletcher do? No one knows. Demote John Murta, have complete new roles, proper people coming in, sort the structure out. That sorts the finances out. That puts the club in a more stable place. Stadium eventually pays for himself. Then you focus on the stadium infrastructure. All needs to be addressed within the next 3 years in terms of stadium infrastructure. But the instant thing has got to be the structure, because you can't do the transfers without the structure, and we can't approve without the transfers. I don't want John Murta choosing who we buy. I want Dan Ashworth, Omar Barada, Paul Mitchell, whoever it is, choosing who we buy, because I don't want to be spending money on some absolute crap in the summer again.
Right, that's a big up. I 100% agree with you. And hold that tea or beer or whatever, pin back your ears, have a cheers, because we have a VR room, the legendary VR room. The one that always comes in here first is Lillis United. To say Yale is here as well. Lucky Singh is here. We have a lot of you famous guys that also visit your channel. Jonathan Liljenberg, football never gonna be the same if they prove the blue card. That's what I'm saying. Alice, we're getting smurfed. Like, in certain sense, if they can give it away to managers on the pitch, then Jurgen Klopp will be the grumpy smurf, blue carded as hell, like blue balled. See? Yeah. Stephanie Griffith is here as well to say, big up Mick and legendary neighbor Alice VR. Please, guys, don't forget the important thing, the thumbs. That's what it matters. Thumbs. It's some weird shit going on, Alice, with YouTube algorithm. They keep chopping and changing, but the thumbs is what matters, doesn't it? Right? Not the subscription, the thumbs.
I think so. It's more watch time as well.
Watch time as well. It's like you're being booked to the police station, and the first thing you do is give your thumbs to print it on. So, guys, it's free. print that like button, smash it right now for Alice as well, and go check out Alice's channel if you haven't. It's brilliant. I kind of tend to watch you every day on the 10-minute updates every morning and evening. So
Appreciate it.
big fan, to be honest.
Did
Anyway,
one
you did
calling
good work.
out Woodward today.
You did, yeah. But I just wonder, like, how, I find it hard to multitask, but I can see you, like, you're doing extensive research, many tabs, and keeping tabs on anything. And it's like, how does this woman do it? I hardly find time to, like, manage 2 social media accounts. I'm getting older.
Yeah, it's hectic at the moment, but used to it now.
Yeah. Listen, regarding what you said there, like, I think my personal belief, though, it's the stadium can wait a bit, but the training ground 100% needs upgrading, right? Because this is where you practice, and the science department, the medical department, because we've seen the injuries.
Medical department.
Yeah, crisis.
But
The stadium the stadium can wait because we still have a stadium to play on, right? But in the interim, like, let's say next season, next year, we can start looking for it. But for now, I was like you. I was on the Qatar camp for some reason, and I'm still believe that 100% full sale ownership is the only way out for this club, right? It's been 18 years. We know this story. You did a piece this morning as well, which I've been singing for quite a while, that Joe Glaze and Avram are financially broke, and they were desperate for some cash and income. Ratcliffe to offer them a way out, because personally, Buccaneers is in crisis. And by the way, Buccaneers, the stadium, as you know, Glazers never financed one single penny. It was actually the Tampa Bay Council that did finance it. So now they're kind of replicating the same thing. Who's going to foot the bill for the stadium? So I said, park that for now and focus on the training ground, because that's what we need to do. Practice every day. Put the structure in place, like Omar Barada is the right direction. And whoever's going to come to report on the Barada, we don't know, because that is kind of been reported. Dan Ashworth, will he leave? I don't know. It's going to cost 10 million to get him on Newcastle. But I think that Omar Barada has his little black book of personnel that he knows on the market that he wants to work with. But at the end of the day, these people is going to report to Barada. So who do you think will be the potential candidate to be director of football and technical director? You mentioned, like, Ashworth, and, there was some stories regarding Michael Edwards as well, because he turned down the Liverpool position. Now, who will be the ideal candidate? Is this some local, or it will be some Western European, or whatever? I'm keen to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think my ideal candidate, just because they said that they would also look to bring in Paul Mitchell on top of a director of football and something like recruitment, I think my ideal candidate would be Dan Ashworth, mostly because he's very highly talked of what he did at West Brom, changing the culture there, getting the wage bill down, and West Brom's best period when they had back-to-back mid-table finishes and they had some bargain signings was with Dan Ashworth. Then obviously went to England. England had a very, very good team, Rooney, Lampard, Gerrard, Terry, Rio, and were crap in major tournaments because there was definitely an attitude problem there. And then England's best tournament success of my lifetime was Russia 2018 with a very inexperienced squad of not so good players. But that was sort of just after Dan Ashworth had come in and implemented some stuff to change the culture at the club from top to bottom and make sure the youth follow a code in England youth when they got to the first team. Obviously went to Brighton, started to revolutionise Brighton. Brighton have a certain thing where they want to play a certain way and they sign players to play a certain way rather than for a manager. And then the manager comes in as a head coach almost to do that. And he was key in identifying this Brighton style. And once Potter left, it was quite easy for De Zerbi to come in because De Zerbi had some kind of idea of what he was going to do. And he's done really, really well. But also you look at sort of deals they've done like Cucurella, Trossard, Caicedo, just ones that they've sold on. Matoma's still there. And then he's gone to Newcastle. And I think, yes, Newcastle had awful injuries this season, really, really bad. But actually, within him coming into Newcastle, they went from 20th to 8th after they employed Eddie Howe, then 8th to 4th. I think Newcastle massively overachieved last season. And I think Newcastle's a bit like United this season. One of the reasons they've dropped off is, well, Tonali's not been available. Harvey Barnes has been injured. They were the two major signings. And then everyone else has been injured. So I think Dan Ashworth, in terms of what he's also done, not just in terms of recruitment, but in terms of changing the culture. Again, Newcastle's a club that's known for having a very toxic culture under the ownership of Mike Ashley. It's been very similar to United in the sense of the environment, the toxicity. This is a big club, Newcastle. So I think for that sense, Dan Ashworth would be my first choice, and then you'd have someone to do the finer details on recruitment of Paul Mitchell. But I am a big fan of Michael Edwards and the work he did at Liverpool, particularly on the budget Liverpool have compared to what City hadn't, how Liverpool can compete. And then another one that's caught my eye that I heard a little rumour about was Cristiano Giuntoli, if that's how you say it, was at Napoli, just switched over to Juventus though, so it seems unlikely.
Giuntoli,
yeah, they would probably be my top three.
No, true that. I mean, my neighboring channel and good friend John Sinclair, they're on Newcastle Fan TV as well, was chatting to him and he said, "There's no way Ashford's going to leave. Like, you know, that comes from Newcastle." Yeah, John was saying that. But if we're going to get him, it's going to cost us £10 million a year in salary. But I do agree. But also, like, you know, when you mentioned Tonali, you know, how could you not know that there's scandals around Tonali? Like, you know, they recruited him, and then came out the gambling scandals as well. So that was kind of a little bit of a blunder that was kind of swept under the carpet. The question is, yes, at Newcastle, he had all this liberty and freedom to do whatever you want or whatever you wanted. But at the same time, I echo what you're saying, that this is the model that Manchester United need to look at, like not recruiting according to the manager's style of play, but according to the sporting vision, what you want this team to play. Like, should it be progressive, expensive football, build that identity, similar to what they did at Brighton and many other clubs, and then recruit managers after that, right? So 100% agree, but I don't know, man. For me, that is the first thing that we need to look at, like, you know, sporting director, recruitment director. I don't know what's going on with, what's his name, the director of football. No, the other one, not Edwards, there was Ashworth, and there was Paul Mitchell. That kind of faded off a little bit, Paul Mitchell. Or have you heard anything more regarding Paul Mitchell?
It's more that I think it's faded off because I was speaking to someone, more because he's not been looked at as a director of football. He's been looked at as someone that would come in additional to a director of football, and they won't do that until they've got a director of football in, decided and asked if they would like to work with Paul Mitchell. He's almost seen as an extension, not someone for the director of football role. And I think that's why it's quiet, because the focus is on DOF, which, you know, there's been a list of names that mentioned to me, is a list of names in the media, and he's not seen as that. Yeah,
100%. No, on the other hand, like, you know, I can argue to the point, yes, anything that's better than Murto, I take it. You know what I mean?
It's not hard.
It's an upgrade. It's an upgrade. That's a fact, Alice. That is absolutely a smashing fact. Now, some people in the VR argue like, well, hang on, Ashworth is not good enough. Like, you know, he hasn't done it on an elite level, like, you know, X, Y, Z. So me, I hold my powder dry, to be honest, because the appointment on Omar Berrada was kind of came from nowhere, like an uppercut, like, you know, hit it in one day. So everything that's been linked out in the media, you know, it's just paper talk at the end of the day. Like, you know, I'm sure that they already have lined up who they want to recruit. And I'm sure that Omar Berrada has had his final say and interviewed those candidates, like, you know, according to his knowledge and industry experience. So it is exciting times and acceptance, because Ratcliffe, I think, is Trawlers Limited. It's not Ineos. It's Trawlers. There's Ratcliffe's personal island main company, shell company. A little bit weird. A shell company buying a 28% in another company, Cayman Island, tax-free. We can argue to the point, but it is a step towards the right direction, 100%, Alice, you know. But another thing what worries me is the Brokeback Mountain. And when I'm saying Brokeback Mountain, it's like that, the movie. Like, you know, we are broke, we are stint, and it's a worrying sign that we are selling off and loaning off as much as we can. And if you actually look at it from a perspective that I get it, what I want to do, and I want to bring this to the stage, and I want to hear your opinion on it. So if we look at the actual wage bill roster, you can see that clearly they want to get rid of anyone that's over 150 bracket, like, you know. So here is what I heard yesterday from a club source, that nobody is safe here, you know, that's earning 150. If you remember, Alice, like you know, back in January, there was a statement that the club wanted to sort of reduce the wage cap and stuff like that. That was last year, yeah. So this is kind of old news in a way.
Yeah.
But if I want to sort of exercise here, so who is in danger here? Like, you know, Casemiro, absolutely one of my favorite players. Like, you know, He's got 2 years left on his contract. But to get rid of Casemiro would be suicide. And what's your opinion regarding that? Because we have Kobe Mainoo. Who else? Nothing else. So we need a little bit of experience. He's got 2
I don't
years
think
left.
Kobe's best role is 6. I think he'll be better as an 8 as well. I think we need a 6.
100%.
Difficult to replace. Difficult to
But
buy
he's
at the
got
moment.
no resale value either. Like, you know, he's earning 18,200,000 a year, right? 350 a week. Then the one that I see will definitely, they will phase out. And unfortunately, I would say it's Rafael Varane.
Yeah.
Right? I think they try to sort of negotiate with him, try to say, like, you know, would you reduce your wage? If you can stay, we can get a new contract, but on the lower wages. We haven't heard anything. Marcus Rashford, we all know the story about Marcus. I have nothing more to say. Play like you mean it, short on the pitch, but the serious interest from PSG is still there. Like, you know, there's no smoke without fire. PSG would been after him for years as well. So he's on a 300K. So I don't really trust Ineos to keep these players, but maybe based on, you know, homegrown talent, it will be a profit if they sell him, right? Because it is a homegrown talent, right? So it's pure profit into the FFP. Martial is going, thank God. He dodged the bullet. Was it a groin injury or was it hips don't lie? According to his agent, it was hips, and then club statement said it was a groin surgery.
I've heard something actually that the club themselves they didn't want to give away information on the location of injuries because basically if they know that you know, Martinez has a foot injury, they're worried that people are going to target Martinez's foot. That Ahmad had a knee injury, people are going to target Ahmad's knee. So potentially the club was sort of very reluctant to release stuff on injuries. Like, no one really knows what's going on with Malacia. Let's be honest.
What the hell happened? You know, ever
Failed
since the
surgery apparently.
Failed surgery. Oh my God. And bring back this to the stage. I'm going to try to multitask here again. You know, you have players like Mason Mount.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, Alice.
150K.
What the
What
hell?
are they thinking?
We could have bought him. We could have got it for free in the summer.
I know, that is mad. I actually sometimes look at that and I think, just give him what he was getting at Chelsea. Don't give him any more.
Number 7 shirt. We're paying him what? 250K a week. Number 7 shirt. How many appearances has he made in the Manchester United red shirt this season? 7.
Like 4 starts, maybe.
What the hell is wrong with his injury? I mean, what is it?
Must be reoccurring because he was injured. He was never injured. Then last season he was injured at the end. Then he's been injured twice this season. And obviously we're not a very good club at managing injuries, so we've probably made it worse.
Man, I don't know. I don't see why we signed him. I was kind of a little bit suspicious and said, no, we're not going to sign him. And then we end up signing him. And then I saw an interview, I think it was Laurie Whitwell, that said that he heard from club sources. He was speaking like, why did we sign him? And they said it was pretty much a club source. It was like, he's available right now. Let's grab him. So obviously,
not much thinking.
Yeah, not much thinking. So yeah, this is what it is. And this is the... you know, the mistakes that we have to live by. Harry Maguire is on 190. You reckon he will be gone? Anthony Dos Santos.
Who buys him?
Saudi.
Would he go to Saudi? He's only 23, I think, or 24.
I don't know. I mean, do you reckon he's cut for the Premier League? I mean, this is his, what is it, second season or third? 2.5?
Yeah, second season. They'll want to get rid of him for sure, but he's going to be one of those. Like with Harry Maguire, Ten Hag wanted to get rid of him in the summer, but the reason he didn't leave was because of the wages in West Ham. Anthony could be one of those where I think players like Lindelof and McTominay might be easier to sell because their wages aren't as completely ludicrous as others. But those players that are on that big wage mark, like Maguire, like Anthony, that aren't necessarily in the plans, because they would have to take such a wage cut, that's what's going to make them so much more difficult to sell, especially because I don't see either of them going Saudi. And Maguire, we know he doesn't want to drop his wages.
No, true. I mean, Luke Shaw is also in danger, what I heard from a credible source within the club as well. So there's a 150 gap, right? And anything below, you know, that Victor Lindelof, they signed a New Year deal. Lisandro Martinez is still there on 120. That's cheap. you know, barring the Lisandro Martinez, it's also reported that it's not so bad. He would be back by Liverpool game. But I said, I don't know, man. Just let the guy rest, like, you know, and come back fresh in the preseason. Wan-Bissaka injured, apparently, by the press conference today. Diego Dalot, 85k a week. And then you see Rasmus Hojlund, by the way, 85k a week. Tyrell Malacia, this is 65. This is balanced approach. So what I'm trying to say here is what they're trying to do. Over 150. This is kind of the way I see that. It's like, you know, I don't know what you reckon. Do you reckon they're going to sort of do a brutal cut, like, you know, to say, like, you know, you're out?
I think it's very obvious it's what they're trying to do. I think the fact that even Ten Hag said today, we don't know about Varane's future. The fact that Ratcliffe made a very clear, reportedly, this was reported like 6 months ago, that he thought the Casemiro signing was silly because he was aging. I think Casemiro and Varane, Mert's gone to Saudi to try and, you know, negotiate some deals. Casemiro, Varane, Anthony and Sancho, reportedly the 4 names thrown about that they told Saudi were available, 4 of the highest earners. Martial's also up there, but he's going to leave. I think Rashford, Bruno, I think they're pretty safe for now because they've bailed us out of a lot of trouble in the past. But I think Rashford's form has been iffy. I think maybe 2025 he's one to watch out for. But from what I've heard, it is Casemiro, Varane, Anthony and Sancho that were offered to Saudi. But Ten Hag does really like Casemiro and would want to see Casemiro here another year is some info that I got. In terms of other players, they will want to do an overhaul with either one of Lindelof or Maguire leaving. Lindelof will likely be easier to sell. McTominay may go, but it again depends. If Casemiro goes, they might keep McTominay for depth, which is crazy because McTominay hasn't been good enough for 4 years, and I think he's going to be easy to sell. Why don't we sell him while he's still got value? Like, we could get 30-40 million from McTominay last summer and this year. Like, I think his value is going to go and go and go. I think you sell him now and you actually just find a proper replacement. They didn't want to sell him because they didn't want to replace. They didn't know if they had a replacement. If we just think ahead, have a good replacement lined up, Bosch, sell McTominay. Because the way I see it is, if we sell efficiently, we can buy while you look at Chelsea. They managed to get rid of Mount, Havertz, Kovacic, 150 million, then got 100 million to Saudi. And Chelsea,
but look at them now.
I mean, look, they are shocking now because they didn't spend it well, but I look at United, I think, okay, let's get rid of, let's say Varane does leave and then Lindelof goes with him and Evans goes with him. Well, Willie Kambala can come up for Evans because that's
100%.
Luke Shaw can fill in. You buy 2 centre-backs, okay, right centre-back and then a left centre-back that's going to give Martinez sort of cover. And then you look at midfield, we definitely need a DM regardless of what happens with Casemiro because of the energy and stuff. So you look at someone who's going to partner Kobe Mainoo really well, bring that in. I think Ericsson will go and Mason Mount is probably seen as the Ericsson replacement, but I would be looking at maybe a technical kind of midfielder that can keep the ball. I'd maybe, because he's reportedly 20 million, have a look at Andre Fluminense because João Neves will be ridiculously expensive. I'd get 2 centre-backs, a 6/8 hybrid kind of player, maybe someone that's a bit technical that can play as an 8, like a natural 8, because we want to play Mount and Ericsson as 8s and their 10s. Kobe Mainoo is the only real natural 8 for me. I think we need an Ericsson/McTominay replacement.
Yeah, Ericsson is leaving 100%. He's gone.
Yeah, 100%. We need a Casemiro successor, and then we need another winger. I think I like Elise, but he's injury prone. We might even need 2 wingers with Sancho and Anthony leaving. It depends on what's going to happen with Ahmad and Rashford and Garnacho's form. We might need 2 wingers, and I think we'll need an experienced striker just so we don't have to play Rashford at striker if something happens to Hojlund. So you're looking at 2 wingers, a striker, 2 midfielders, 2 centre backs. That isn't even talking about fullback cover.
But don't you reckon first and foremost, before getting another striker, we need to solidify that midfield, right? You know, secure that because 100%.
Build from the back.
Build from the back.
Defensive midfield. I think for me, we need another centre back to come in. Someone that's comfortable on the ball, someone that could be the Martinez of the right side almost. And then I would go and get a big physical 6/ someone that can play as a 6 or an 8 that would partner Mainoo well, that can eventually phase out Casemiro. They'd be my first 2 signings done. And then I'd actually go for a winger before a striker because what's the point of getting a striker if our wingers can't cross? A winger that can cross, that'd be number 3. Striker would be number 4. And then if the budget's there, I'd look back at maybe Martinez cover. I'd look back at maybe another midfielder, someone that is actually a natural 8 because can we rely on that?
More experience, or would you consider Dan Gore, etc., that's on the loan?
I think
retract
more.
Alvaro Fernandez on the left back position. Is doing well in Benfica at the moment, getting praise
Yeah,
from the Benfica manager.
it's a difficult one because I think the Mason Mount is ultimately the Casemiro, sort of not Casemiro, the Eriksen replacement, and so I think Mason Mount when he's played hasn't been bad. He hasn't been good, but he hasn't been bad. He's been very 6 out of 10. Do you know what I mean? Very not been bad, not been good, but I think Mason Mount's probably seen as that Eriksen replacement because the way Ten Hag wants to play, he wants his players to cover a lot of ground and press a lot, and that's what Mount does. But
that's probably why we recruited Mason Mount 1 year too early.
100%, 100%. But I think with the point there, we need someone that's going to do Casemiro's role.
Yeah,
maybe someone to replace Eriksen, but it's not a priority. That you do look at Dan Gore, you do look at players coming through, and you do think maybe they can give us something here. I do like Dan Gore. I haven't really watched him on loan. I think Willy Kambala can replace Eriksen. Willy Kambala can replace Evans. Dan Gore could potentially replace Eriksen if Mount's going to stay fit, and we're going to bring in a 6+8 anyway. And then I think other positions we need experience though.
Yeah, but what about Sofyan Amrabat? Do you reckon? I mean,
he's gone.
You reckon he's gone? Yeah.
I mean, we got him. We
couldn't buy him. It's not fair. He's never been given a fair chance, to be honest. I had Alfredo Pedol on my channel, and he was speaking so highly about him, and he only wanted to come to United. He was waiting and waiting and waiting, and refused to train. Didn't have a proper preseason. Gets thrown into left back position because we had a left back crisis, and it's just not been fair. We haven't seen much about him, right? So at the end of the day, what do we have to pay left? It's an obligation, not an obligation, but what is it, 18 million pounds or something? If we want to have him,
18 million, yeah. I don't think they will.
You don't think so?
No, I think to be honest, this summer a lot of what we do will depend on how we sell. I think will be massive. I think they look at it, and I think because I think, as I said, I don't know if you saw my tweet earlier, I said a lot of this transfer news is just people making up stuff because the director of football is not here. We don't know what the decision is on Ten Hag's future. So they'll have an idea of who they want to buy and the positions they want to get. But in terms of actual names, I don't think these journalists know F all. I think you can look at certain names like Todibo and think, well, Ten Hag approved him, the scouts approved him, and I'm sure Ineos approved him because it's at Nice and we need a right centre back. Varane's probably going to go, another centre's probably going to go. You can look at Todibo, the fact that he didn't move to Spurs as well. Could that be Nice holding on to him for a United move in the summer? I'd say Todibo's one. I'd say that's got some credibility. We know that Ratcliffe wants a British core.
Yeah, but hang on a second. If you compare Willy Kambala and Todibo, I think they're a similar style of player, right? The only thing is that Todibo has a little bit more of experience. So I would say, why would you recruit? Just go within the academy talent, because we have amazing academy, probably the best academy coming up since not class of '92. We have the under 21s, under 18s are cooking, the under 21s. We have a lot of good players out on the loan. Man, come on, right? Why would we go and spend money on a Todibo, which I think is more of an Ineos link?
We need experience if Varane leaves. So I see Kambala can come in for Evans for me, but we need at least 3 solid centre backs we can rely on. Kambala can be the 4th. Liverpool have got the Kwanzaa who's coming through. They've got Konate, Matip, Van Dijk. They're the 3 solid ones. Kwanzaa's coming through because they're playing Gomez at fullback depth. So I think that's what United need. I like the youth, but you just don't know. There's players of Kobe Mania that are special and they can come in. But I look at Mejbri and I think Mejbri's good. I think Palistri's good. I'd like to send them over Anthony and McTominay. But do I ultimately think they'd be good enough to take United's titles? Probably not. I think Todibo, 23, someone that could be moulded into a superstar. I think there's better options out there at right centre-back, but they're going to be 70, 80 million. If you think 38 million for Todibo, I think that works. I know the other one they're looking at, and these were the other 2. So Todibo, I think, has got some credibility. And Jared Branthwaite of Everton and Elise also have credibility. Because we know that the club have been watching them a while. We know that the club like them. And good sources said that, but also Ratcliffe is a fan of those players. We know... I don't know what Omar Barada will be thinking. I don't know what the next director of football will be thinking. But there's 3 players I know that Ineos like, Ten Hag like, and the current board like. But I think all the other players we linked to, like Ivan Toney, no one has a clue what we're going to do, because I've been told something very different about
me too, to
scenario.
be honest. And I want to hear what you're saying. But before, guys, sorry for neglecting you in the VR, and we are not neglecting. We haven't spoken for ages, so we're just going like blah 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 blah, you know, throwing names in the air. But guys, let us know in the comments section, who do you reckon we should get as a center back pairing? Like, you know, is it Todibo? Is it, I don't know, man. I don't have any names out there. But in terms of the striker position, Alice, I've been told something totally different. And this is something that I don't want to go away. This is something that I'm talking to Graham Bailey about as well. And he keeps mentioning that United is heavily scouting and following Benjamin Sesko, that has a 45 million release clause in the summer. Is that something? Now, I can see that they are trying to do a generational shift right now, going more on the younger players. You know, you don't want to get in a experienced striker that will block Rasmus Hojlund's development. And by the way, if you look at Hojlund in comparison today, you know, Hojlund has already matched his total from last season with Atalanta. We're talking about 2023 season, 10 goals, 2 assists. Same in the shirt of Manchester United so far, 10 goals and 2 assists. And we are not even through to the season, Alice. So what I'm trying to say here,
he's only just turned 21.
He's only turned 21, and he's starting to cook at the moment. He's
no service as well.
No service. So he creates his own goal. Like, this is a proper striker to me. So what I'm trying to say is, I think it's great to have 2 similar profile, but lesser lower profile, similar in characters, like, you know, like Benjamin Sesko, tall, explosive, similar traits to Hojlund, while they can bounce off each other and interchange, you know.
100%.
But if you do get an experienced striker, who would that be? Like, you know, if you get that person, that means that you're stopping Hojlund to develop or, you know, play games. It's like, I don't know. I don't have any names.
Yeah,
Goncalo Ramos, maybe.
Disco Mirror put out an article today, which I think is just a load of waffle, because he needs to write something, and there's no news about United, to be honest. And I don't like to put down journalists, but what the information I got is very different to what he's saying. He's saying United are going to prioritise the striker. They're going to go big. They're going to go big for Ivan Toney. I think he's just heard the report yesterday that United are looking at players with 1 year left on their contract. There's an opportunity there. Put 2 and 2 together, done some guesswork of Ivan Toney. I think that Ivan Toney will end up at Arsenal or Chelsea. I don't think he'll end up at United. The information I got is that United do want a striker because they need support for Hojlund. Martial is leaving. It is going to be a focus in the summer, but they don't plan on spending more than 50 million of the budget on a striker. They're looking, actually, it's been reported that they're looking at an experienced striker, and if they feel there's a good experienced striker to come in for the right price, they'll have a look. But the name that I got, and Sesko was one that we'd looked at, but but that one, it will depend on sort of, I think Ineos' stance on that. But the one that I know Ten Hag is a big fan of, and the information I got was Xerxes.
Xerxes, yes, true.
Bulgana. That was the name they said. If there was a player that was most likely to come to United striker role as of now, it'd be Xerxes. But it was said, we don't know what Ineos are thinking. We don't know what the director of football are thinking. Because Ten Hag wanted Anthony. Would Omar Barada bring in Anthony? Absolutely not. I haven't watched enough of Xerxes to say if he's any good or anything.
Yeah.
He looks decent, but I don't know. Anthony looked decent in Ajax comps. I knew Anthony wasn't going to be worth more than 40 million quid. But he looked right at Ajax. So it's like, I know that is the striker United are looking at, because he's got a 35 million release clause, and United are looking at release clauses, possibilities. But again, that isn't very concrete because we don't know the DOF is.
Yeah, Anthony, we bought a 90 million spinster, to be honest, right? It's good on spinning, but he frustrates me because he never tacks. He only, like, he goes and then he stops and go backwards. I was like, come on, man. But on a balanced approach, you're absolutely right. Like, you know, we can speculate. We're blue in the face, getting a blue card, being smurfed. But at the end of the day, what matters is that, you know, we don't have a proper director of football in. And when the director of football in, we'll pretty much know who we're going to get at the end of the day. But there's targets. And of course, they've been scouting for quite a while. So I'm just going to go back to the chat. People saying regarding the centre-back Todibo, what David is saying, Man United can sign Iñárritu. Todibo is okay, passing good.
Yeah, Iñárritu passing-wise.
Yeah,
physicality might lack, though.
Yeah. There was also, this was also linked to this Atalanta kid. I can't remember what it was named. But there's a lot of places.
Yeah, I know, but he's Scalvani, is it?
Scalvani. Craig Warby is saying Todibo is left-footed, I think. So we need a left footer, right?
He's right-footed,
Todibo. Yeah. One thing that strikes me, Alice, when we speak is that losing Licha, we're screwed, right? So we need a left-footed, similar profile to Licha as a like-for-like replacement, just in case. What's your thoughts on that?
If we want like for Licha, then Inacio is 100% who you go for, especially because he does play in a back three for Sporting, but he's quite good in the wide areas, but he's very good on the ball. If you want like for like, you go with Inacio. He's more probably like Nathan Ake's kind of role at City, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that the one thing about Jab Branthwaite that appeals to me, because I've watched Everton and we've been linked to Branthwaite and Amadou Onana, and I watched Everton to look at Amadou Onana, and it was Branthwaite that caught my eye. I was more impressed with Branthwaite, the 21-year-old centre-back, and also he was very good at PSV. I think he's been very good for Everton, and while he's not the most mobile and he's a bit more Maguire-esque in his play, I think when you look at the physicality that Martinez lacks and the fact that Branthwaite can play left and right centre-back because he's good with 2 feet, you've got someone that can play next to Martinez and be competition for maybe Todibo if he comes in, or whoever the right centre-back is. And then someone that, why he isn't like for Martinez, because Todibo will be good in possession and he'll be an upgrade on what we currently have in possession, maybe not as good as Martinez. Branthwaite could fill in the left centre-back. So I think Branthwaite can play both left and right centre-back and maybe give us a bit more variation, because Martinez isn't injury prone, that's the thing. When you think about it, he wasn't injury prone, then he got that injury, we didn't manage it properly, we played him injured, it got worse, and then he was just unlucky to have his knee clattered. If they were muscular injuries, you say he's injury prone, but that was a contact injury. So I'm like, Martinez could stay fit all season. We could buy Inacio to mirror Martinez and he could barely play. But if Martinez stays fit all our season, Branthwaite can have a role next to Martinez and give cover there. So that's the only way I'm thinking. But again, could come down to the price tag. Everton get relegated, I think Branthwaite, boom. But I think Inacio's release clause is under 50 million. If Everton start asking for 60 million for Branthwaite, well, we'll just go pay 44 million Inacio release clause.
That's it. No, that's it. There's creative solutions. And Lucky Singh saying Vlahovic with Rasmus Hojlund, not a bad shout, to be honest. And guys, sorry for, we catching up on the chat. Jonathan David could be a good striker behind Hojlund. We've been linked with that because, there was a report coming out the other day to say that we are looking for players out of contract, with 1 year left out of contract, similar to Mason Mount, and Jonathan David was one of them. I think it was also Joshua Kimmich, Thuram, and stuff like that. And I was like, why would you do that? Fair play, Is it just media paper talk, or is it something really that has legs, Alice?
I mean, I think Kimmich is one of those where it's a very Man United deal to do right now, but is it an Ineos deal? I think the United board will be looking at Kimmich and thinking there's an option here. If Casemiro leaves, someone that could play DM, someone that can play right back and invert into midfield and very experienced. But I know that Ineos and the approach of those was very much, we don't want to be going for players that are sort of 30 plus on high wages. Their plan is they do want experience in the squad, which could be something like Kimmich, but the plan was very much players aged 20 to 26 that aren't on ridiculous wages, that are very good players that will go to United, and that'll be the big club they play for, a step up from their current club. But they'll also be here because they're going to improve the team. They suit the way we want to play. They're involved in the project and suit the mentality and could be evolved into superstars, like what Liverpool did. Salah was a great player. It wasn't a superstar. Same with Mane, same with Firmino. They made them superstars. Van Dijk was made a superstar. Alisson was made a superstar. Trent came through the academy. Robbo was one of those sort of signings that no one was super familiar with. He came from Hull. And a lot of people were saying, but Elise's at Palace, Branthwaite's at Everton. But I'm like, you've got to look at Liverpool. They were signing people from Hull. They were signing people from Southampton. You just have to do your scouting right. You can get Schneiderlin from Southampton, 100%. Or you can get Van Dijk. And if you do your scouting right, you do your scouting right. Like, there's certain players like Amadou Onana we need that kind of player, but I'm actually not 100% sold on him in terms of, well, I think he'd suit Maino, but maybe what he does in possession. But Jared Branthwaite, I'm a bit more convinced on him. Pedro Neto, at least if they weren't so injury prone, there's a good player there, but there'll be other players that United are linked to. And I think now, why are you looking at that? I think when you look at those lower clubs, it's about attitude, the way they play, do they suit the system, can they be improved? And I think United got to copy what Liverpool did. You know, you might have to go for players that are young, that can be moulded. Like Salah was great. He's a superstar now. We want our Salah. We want our Mane. That's why I like Nico Williams. That's why I like Elise, Neto. Even Bakayoko of PSV looks quite promising. So,
listen, you're absolutely picking my brain here. Like, you know, we're singing from the same Spotify hymn sheet, to be honest, like a playlist, because this is my train of thought as well. Like, you know, I think I see this as a kind of generational makeshift, and I'm just gonna put this to the stage. You know what? This, the young Trinity potential. Like, what do you feel when you see this?
I think it's exciting. I think this has been a very negative season at United. I think, especially because we did go in there with some hope, because last season I think we overachieved in terms of expectations. You know, we just come off finishing 6th or 7th from Ragnick, and I didn't think we were going to get top 4 last season. I thought, I came into this season with really high expectations, really positive, and it's not been a good season. But one thing that's been really good this season is A, the success of the under-18s and the youth, and B, the success of the youth in the first team. Garnacho 19, obviously Kobbie Mainoo 18, and Hojlund turned 21 yesterday or 2 days ago. I look at Man United literally like 2 months ago, and I was like, who the hell do we keep? Do you know what I mean? I was like, who do we build around? So, and that was, obviously I knew that the Garnacho, Hojlund, Martinez, that obviously, and even like Ahmad, who hasn't played yet, which is a bit annoying, were obviously great players. But the more and more I watch this team, I go, Hojlund, Mainoo, Garnacho. Ineos need to build around them as the youth. They need to keep, for me, in terms of experience, the Sandro Martinez I think is brilliant. I think that Luke Shaw and Delot can very much do the job in terms of, I don't think that's a priority position. And I've been quite impressed with Luke Shaw and Delot. And I think Bruno, we know, is a very good player there. That I don't think we're getting the best out of Bruno. I think he's so much better than what he is showing right now. And they're the players I look at and I think, well, Hojlund, Bruno, Garnacho, Martinez, Delot and Shaw can stay, and then we'll eventually add to the other areas. And if Luke Shaw's consistently injured, get a left back. If Delot is got his vulnerabilities, bring in a right back, because Delot, I think his biggest weakness, and people disagree with me on that, everyone says defending, I think his biggest weakness is crossing. I think Delot's very good in possession, very good on the ball, pressing the ball, making overlapping.
He's still young.
Yeah, he's 23 or 4.
Yeah.
It's actually like his crossing. I think he's very good going forward in possession. He inverts and he makes us look a lot better. It is just his crossing. So the way I look at it, I think I do really like Rashford, but he's not been good enough this season. I think we need competition for Rashford and Garnacho, and I mean real competition like Neto, 100%. Nico Williams. I think we need someone that's going to partner Kobbie Mainoo, be a long-term Casemiro replacement, back up for Hojlund so we don't have to play Rashford as striker, and then a proper centre-back in there. They would be the 4 areas I'd address instantly, and then depending on budget, I'd be looking at other midfielders, other defenders, other attackers.
Big up. I'm a little bit conscious of time, but you actually, you know, you it's like me speaking. It's like you saying exactly what I said, and I agree with Craig Warby is saying. Fergie rarely signs superstars; he made them, and that is similar to what you said and what I'm thinking, because, you know, left back. You know, you just watch Alvaro Fernandez, right? He's probably in mind to be Luke Shaw replacement. Luke Shaw is going to be fizzed out. You have edge players. But what you're saying here, we have a base, a solid base to build on in terms of youth. They say, like, you know, if you're good enough, you're old enough. And that is the old Manchester United DNA mantra, of course. So big up for everyone that's coming in and tuning. Please don't forget to smash that like button. And sorry if we are rambling and talking, that is just too passionate. Really, I really agree what you're saying there. Every single word what you're saying there. So I'm excited for the summer to see the fruit of this labor, because as I said, like, you know, been watching the under 21s, the 18s are cooking. Shea Lacey's coming up the range. There's like, what's his name? Begovic.
Amit Ibrahimov.
Behemoth, yeah, and then the Fletcher twins as well, which was a little bit a question. What the hell? Why we signed the Fletcher offspring? But anyway, they're supposed to be very tall specimens.
Jack Fletcher's been really, really good.
Yeah. But anyway, it's just time to park that because we're going to talk about the Villa game as well. We're going to play football at this, right? And Ten Hag had a press conference. I usually cover it live, but they screwed us over. Usually they have the press conference on Friday, and all of a sudden, just had it. Boom. By the way, just final question regarding that. A lot of people in the fan bases say we don't have any playing identity this season. Now, the question for you, this no style of play, what they're saying. But in order to have a style of play, you need to have a fit squad, right? Logically speaking, right?
To an extent, yeah.
And we've been bloody unlucky this season, right? With Martinez and we haven't really had a full 11, like, the starting 11 to play the style, right? Or is it just my thinking, or do you see the same?
So I think there's been games where I generally sit there and I think, what are you trying to do? What is the style? What is the pattern? And then there's games where I can see what he's trying to do. And I feel like my conclusion is very much, the problem is, the way we want to play is so reliant on certain players, like Lisandro Martinez, even Kobbie Mainoo. Like, Kobbie Mainoo took us up a level because we had no one that was comfortable being the first receiver in midfield and picking the ball off the centre-backs. We lack so much technical ability within the squad. So, and also, not just technical ability, but athleticism, physical traits, ability to cover ground. Casemiro and Eriksen don't have the legs. That's why we struggle against the big teams, because they don't have the legs in midfield. Eriksen's good when you dominate possession and can control the game at a slow tempo, and he's good in possession, but out of possession, he doesn't have the legs. So I look at United and I think, well, Ten Hag wants to play a really demanding style of football. And so does Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham, and he's got more out of the Tottenham squad. But people forget this with Tottenham. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, Tottenham changed their transfer strategy, even while Conte was there, and they went and got players like Kulusevski. They went and got players like Bentancur. They got Sarr and Udogie over a year ago. Let them go out on loan, come in. They've just signed Bergvall, who'll stay on loan and come in. Spurs 2 years ago started going for very young, up-and-coming players with good technical ability that were very fit. So Ange, weirdly, has got a squad that it wasn't maybe better than United's squad, but he actually had players that were signed that he didn't sign, like Sarr and Udogie that came in from the year before, that were very much could be coached. And then he's got the best out of Porro. Basuma was signed. Didn't work under Conte, but he's an Ange player. And I think people compare Ten Hag to Ange, and Ange has done really well with the Spurs squad and what they've had. But you actually look at the physical capabilities of the Spurs squad and the Man United squad, and you think, well, they have Basuma and Sarr, which are very good players at covering ground, having the athletic traits and pressing, whereas we have Amrabat, Casemiro, Eriksen, which are not good players at covering ground and pressing. And I think to an extent, Ten Hag wants to play an energetic style of football, which is pressing really high up. It does leave a lot of space in behind, but people covering lots of ground because there's a lot of space in midfield. But
which we haven't been able to do because we don't have the personnel that can press.
And then build up is reliant on the centre backs, and obviously Martinez being out affects that. So to an extent, we can see what Ten Hag tries to do in a lot of games, but he actually really, really does not have the players to do that. And I now look at it and say, I see where Mason Mount fits in that sense. Not that I would have signed Mason Mount, but I see where he fits in. I think Mason Mount being in is a much bigger blow than people think, because I think he would have really helped with certain aspects of how we wanted to play. I think, not getting Kim and Jay didn't help.
That's the one that we missed. Jesus, Kim and Jay.
That would have helped with the Martinez absence. But I think a big part of it is you look at what would Ange do with Amrabat, Eriksen, Casemiro, because they're great players. I mean, especially Casemiro is great players, but when you want to play an energetic way, it's very different. But I do think Ange has been doing better because he's missed key players through injury.
Yeah. Greg Warby, I agree with you saying Sven Botman. This is kind of the underrated, under the radar Sven Botman and Mickey van der Ven. Bloody good signings, to be honest, right? They're doing the cooking. But listen, Alice, Villa, okay, they got battered yesterday. Chelsea, where did Chelsea come from? Chelsea through to the fifth round of, the FA Cup. And Villa, and that was actually at their turf, like a Villa's turf. And we go in there on Sunday to play apparently they have some injuries. I think they have about 5 injured players. I haven't really had time. But you reckon this is the big one, Alice? This is the moment. If we are serious about catching top 4, this is probably the biggest game of the season. If we catch them, if we get 3 points, that we close the gap 5 points away from 4th. You reckon we have the capability to do that?
I'm going to say yes, for the sense of Villa in Europe, we're not. We have 1 game a week from now on. Villa don't. Villa are missing Pau Torres and Konza, who have been, I don't know if they're still missing them, but yeah, if they've got Lengley at the back with, what's his name? I know Pau Torres is out, but what they're missing, they have been missing, like Pau Torres has been big for them. I do think with Villa are much better than us, and they have only lost 1 game at home in the last year and a half, so I don't want to underrate Villa. And I think they probably will finish above us, but I think it's a possibility we can catch them, because if we win today, we're 4 points with 14 games to go off the top 5. 5th can get you in the Champions League next season. Villa will have to play 2 games a week, because I think they'll go right to the end of the conference, to be fair to them. True. And Spurs aren't in Europe. I think Spurs will get top 4. I think it will be a battle between United and Villa for 5th. West Ham, who are up there with us, they're going to be in Europe playing extra games. Brighton are in Europe playing extra games. Chelsea are like us, hit and miss, but worse than us, but looked very good the other day. And Newcastle, injury crisis, is worse than us. So I do think 5th spot is between us and Villa. I do. I think Villa are better. I think it depends on injuries, but if we beat Villa and we can get some consistency, but Martinez is gone, which is annoying, I think 100% we can push for 5th. I don't think we'd get 4th, but 5th, yeah.
So who is the danger man there? Like, I don't know who 5th play, but I know if they play like McGinn, like the midfield did yesterday, of course, I can agree what Stephanie Griffith is saying here. 100%. Yeah, you read my mind, Stephanie. If McGinn and company plays like they did last night, on our midfield should be dominating them. What do you reckon?
I mean, hopefully. You just don't know, because I feel like some teams, when they play Man United, just go up a level. I think now they're good at home. They've been unbelievable at home. They are good players. They were up in 3rd at one point, 2nd at one point for a reason. It really massively depends, because Villa I don't know if they've learned their lesson from last time, but the way Villa played at home played into our hands 100%. They played a high line when we had a Hojlund and Rashford going up the front 3. It depends, because if Villa play like they did last time and we show up and we show some attitude and we show some effort, and we've had a longer rest than Villa, so they'll be more exhausted than us, we can beat them. But I guess it depends in that sense.
Yeah. A7K say Villa, as bad as Villa was yesterday, they will play better against us. I guess this, like what Ten Hag said today in the press conference, this feels like a cup competition. It's a cup final. We play like every game like a cup final. And I say, like, 3 consecutive wins. We scored 11 goals. Confidence is losing. The only thing that bothers me is absolutely no Martinez, no Party. But he was talking about that in the press conference. I have solutions that I can fit that. I don't think that Luke Shaw will play as the left-sided centre back, because guess what? We don't have any fullbacks, because Aaron Wan-Bissaka is injured. So you probably have to go with Luke Shaw and Diego Dalot. But anyway, you did a lineup to me as well that we're going to talk about. But I want to hear from you guys in the VR room as well. Some people saying Jarvis Jarvis, you say, or top 4. We won't get top 4. Jarvis, you know who Jarvis is, right? He's my number 2 here. Too inconsistent. Yeah. Yes, it's too inconsistent. Our players can't be trusted. It's like the Forrest Gump, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know when you're going to get. So Erik ten Hag probably has to hope for it. Yeah, but Alice, I think we need to talk about the lineup. We're going to do this, people. This is Alice starting 11. All right, so guys, a little bit of a breaking news. What's to come? We just pressed the green light for our Mufc Realist TV website, coming up within 24 hours. And this is the lineup builder here. I don't know if you can see it, but Alice, and me, we've been communicating earlier today, and I said, Alice, what is your starting lineup? So let me hear from you, Alice. You gone with Andre Onana in goal, 100%. You've gone with Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Rafael Varane, and Diego Dalot as back four. Let's start with injuries. What was your reason why picking Shaw and Dalot and this back four?
Well, Wan-Bissaka and Martinez are injured. I think Maguire's better than Lindelof. And well, Manasseh is injured, so Luke Shaw and Dalot are only a fit fullbacks. I mean, I would have probably our best back line is this minus Maguire for Martinez. So Maguire comes in for Martinez for me because I think he's better than Lindelof. So that four sort of picked itself, I think, really.
Yeah. And the thing is with Harry Maguire, like, you know, he really impressed me. Like, he's been out, but he played, he wasn't too bad. You know, he basically rushed like a mad bull in Pamplona, right? Just seeing red, you know. But the only thing that he did was the toe poke where Diego Dalot has to chase back and throw himself and save the block the shot. So that was a typical.
He was good other than that.
Yeah,
the thing is, I mentioned this in my match reaction, but because we didn't press very well in attack, it meant that the defenders had to be really high up and press. And when West Ham were getting us on the transition, because Maguire had to be really aggressive and close them down quick, it led us to be a bit more vulnerable, which I actually think is which is probably why Todibo would be really suited to United. But I think that was a bit of an issue with the setup. But I think other than that, Maguire did have a good game. And I think the reason they had a lot to do was because of issues further up.
True. Okay, that's, you know, obviously, like, you know, we are a little bit of in the crisis, and then Willy Kwambala, what somebody was saying in the chat as well, can deputize. We do have a bench, and he was also talking about, I have players that I can teach, and 100%, like, you know, we have Lindelof that can play fullback as well. He can also play the left-sided centre back as well, where Harry Maguire is. But Rafael Varane is key to keep fit here. So in the midfield that picks itself, Alice, you've gone with Kobe Mino, Bruno Fernandes, and Casemiro. That's self-explanatory, right? There's no changes. And then Scott McTominay off the bench. We have Amrabat back as well from AFCON as well. So yeah, that's pretty good. But in the top, nothing has changed, right? It's Rashford, Hojlund, and Garnacho. Yeah.
Self-explanatory, I think. I'd love to see Ahmad come on, but I wouldn't start him. He's someone I'd bring on as first sub. If Rashford was having a poor game or something. So I think that's the front three I'd go with.
Yeah. I'm going to create a poll now. I'm going to ask you, who do you think will score first?
Probably Garnacho, the way it's going.
You reckon Garnacho will score first? Viva Garnacho.
He's been getting a lot of goals at the moment.
Give me 3 candidates. I will create a poll.
I'd say Hojlund, Garnacho, Rashford, front three.
So let me see. Garnacho, Garna. I just put Garna. Everyone knows who Garna is, right? Rash and Rasmutas. I call him Rasmutas. Guys, you understand what I mean. I created a poll, guys. You have 2 minutes to vote. Who do you reckon will score first? Will it be Garnacho, Viva Garnacho? Will it be a little bit of a Rash? Or we will have a little bit of a Danish dynamite or Danish donut? And adding on top of that, we have the sauce, which is the main sauce. The main sauce, the ingredients. Cool. Yeah, so let's park that. And I want to go to the next segment as well, because I don't want to jinx it, Alice, because I believe the footballing gods exist, but still want to. Alice, over the course of time, I jinxed it so many times. I don't know. Do you like to do score prediction? Do you reckon we're going to get a result? And in that case, we're playing away. Tough game. They're probably going to play high line. We are in form at the moment. We're missing, Licha, but I think we can manage. What do you think will be the score prediction from your end?
I think Man United are the hardest team to predict, because you just don't know what United side's going to show up. Villa, the only game they lost in the last year and a half at home was Newcastle, which was the most recent one, so they've definitely dropped off a bit, and we've definitely got better, but then Martinez is out. I'm going to say 2-2.
Come on, Alice. 2-2. Jesus Christ. I'm going to put in here. Because what I'm going to do now, I'm the only one that is doing it. I'm going to bring this. We're going to spin the wheel. We're going to let footballing gods decide. Listen, at the end of the day, I hate to jinx it. Some people say this is rigged. This is not. I've given the options about 1-0 United, 1-1 draw, 2-1 United, and Ruby Classic. He's got, guess what, 3-1 United, and you go with 2-2. Is there anything else you like to see here? Or do you agree with what I'm kind of putting in the spin the wheel?
Yeah, go for it.
You reckon?
Yeah.
So, guys, place your bets. Let us know your score prediction. Put a comment here in the comment section here as well. Like, what is your score prediction? Place your bets, because I'm going to spin the wheel right here, right now. And let us know if you're going to think it's going to be 1-0 United, 1-1 draw, 2-1 United, potentially 3-1 United. Or maybe we will lose 3-1 to, Villa as well, or 2-2. Hope not. Hope not. So let's do this. Drum roll, please. Let's go. Come on, United. Get in there. Cute beauty. Come on. 3-1 United. Ruby Classic. I told you. Boom.
Look at that.
I told you. Ruby Classic kicks in 3-1 to Manchester United. And hopefully, Alice, it's not reverse. I hope it's not reverse.
Fingers crossed.
Anyway, guys, you get quick. Craig Warby is going in with 2-2. He agreed to say it would be a draw. 0-2. Shaw change position on top. 100%, guys. What you saying? Yeah, listen. At the end of the day, what matters is a win, Alice. That's what matters.
100%.
You know, 3%, 3 points is so important in this game. If we do beat Villa, then we are on. Then the race is on for fourth, 100%. As what you said, fourth or fifth might give you Champions League. Rajat is also coming in with 3-1. It's retrospective. But anyway, Alice, it's been a pleasure. I know we went over time, but before we go, I want to sort of reveal the poll as well, because we did run a poll as well. I will end the poll here, right now, because hang on, it's still going. It's starting, you guys, come on, get your votes in. At the moment, it says the first one that will score will Garnacho on 21%, Alice, Rashford 21, but the one that will score first is Rasmus Hojlund on 57%. Rasmus.
5 in a row.
Rasmus. And the reason why I'm saying that, because I believe the boy is cooking right now. If you look at this, 100%. 100%. If I bring this to the table, he is currently matching his Atalanta performance. 10 goals, 2 assists. So far, he's done 10 goals and 2 assists at United. And it's a long way to, I think it's about 16 games, 15 games to go. Alice, it's been a short pleasure. Thank you for coming in. I know we said 60 minutes. We've gone over with 7 extra time. Blame it on the VR room, guys. Are you doing any watch-alongs, by the way?
Yeah, Sunday I'll do one for Man United, definitely.
So what's your next schedule? Are you doing video uploads tomorrow and then watch along, or how can people tune into your next show?
So no, I'll probably do a video tomorrow. I normally do videos. They come out anytime between about 9 and 11 a.m. And then I normally do a live stream, normally about 5:30, 6 p.m. UK time. Every day is what I try to do. So yeah, Alice Talks Football.
Guys, this is pleasure. It's been far too long. I mean, I moved over to Thailand. You've seen, I sent you some pictures. Like, it's bloody, what is it, 4:09 in the morning. And it's been an absolutely pleasure to have a chat with you, Alice. Hopefully we see each other soon, and hopefully we're going to win, and hopefully we get some positivity back to the fan base, because I started this question to say, how do you feel to be a Manchester United supporter 2024? It's been a rocky road, but hopefully the winds are changing. Alice, big up. Thank you for coming in. Guys, don't forget to smash a like on the video. Go follow Alice as well. Go, absolutely. If you haven't subscribed, go to Alice's channel. Subscribe right now. You're my favorite 10 minutes videos I can watch every day. You know what? Because at the end of the day, I'm busy. The attention span is not always there. Watching long content in something switch you off. And I do suffer from ADHD as well. So I really appreciate your content. Big up, Alice. Guys,
Thank you for having me.
thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having us. And thank you for watching. Glory, glory, Manchester United. And we should see you to the next one. Big up. Ciao.
That's all, folks.
Thank you so much for stopping by me watching Mufc TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and the socials.